Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third Archetype preview here for Update 58. This one, there's no associated post for or anything. We don't know intention. All we know is it's in the game. That's why my character's name's Secret Lookin'. It's the Acolyte of the Skin Warlock. As I said, it's just in the game files. Nothing works in the tree, but we can look at it and kind of take into a bit of an examination as to what some of the pieces are. So this is going to be a lot of speculation. Based on what I know Acolyte of the Skin from 3.5 and looking at some of the features that are present here within. So the first thing is your pact. You get to pick a pact as a warlock, and this is the true patron fiend. So as a Acolyte of the Skin, you can only have a fiend pact. This makes sense. The Acolyte of the Skin is basically you and a demon becoming one, where you basically fuse together. So you kind of need to have a fiend as your pact, so it wouldn't make sense for anything else to work here, because of the specifics of the Acolyte of the Skin. Also, with this patch, there's going to be a rebalancing of Warlock damage. In case you're bad with numbers or math, I'll spell it out for you. This is in this patch is going to be an absolute buff for every Warlock in the video game, with no exceptions, and a massive upwards of 50% single target damage increase if you want to specialize in some of the specific trees, just on regular Warlocks. So that's going to be coming along with this, and then this may or may not be good. I don't know. So we'll take a look into that. But they are going to be buffing Warlock as well with this patch. Warlock is a class that suffers in single target. AoE is fine, suffers in single target. And so they're pretty much just like making it so that the leveling curve is a little bit smoother, is what it looks like. And they're also adding in some they're making it so each of the stances are the same. So as an easy example, Chain Blast no longer changes how much gives you like a minus on your, what do you call it? The spell power scaling. And Cone Blast also has a regular amount of spell power scaling, which is interesting. The only one that gets extra is Enervating Shadow, which deals a whole bunch of damage, but it makes sense because it's the single target one, so you invest into it and it does 50% more damage than the other two. But we're not here to talk about basic Warlock, we're here to talk about Acolyte of the Skin, a tree that does not work. So there are two major things you need to know about this. It is, number one, it's replacing the Enlightened Spirit. It would make no sense to be a light Enlightened Spirit character if you happen to be a Warlock who's literally fusing with a demon, so that wouldn't make a lot of sense. And two, this tree has not just the actual stats in it, but also flavor, which I think is very, very cool. So as you read, there's also red text. This is just the journal entries of your journey into becoming a fused creature as you record. I think that's really cool. I kind of wish more stuff in the game had fun themed elements. So I like that they're putting in that flair here as well. I think that's a really, really cool direction to go with it. Now, outside of cool, what exactly is it? So this is very similar to Enlightened Spirit. Each of the cores is basically going to give you a buff to your stats for every core that you take, stacking up. So the further you get, the more stats you get. So the first one gives you fortification for every core. The second one gives you hit points for every core. So when you take this, you've now spent 2 points and you've gotten 6 health and 6 fortification. Now you take this one, you've got 9 health and 9 fortification, and now 9 fire resistance. Now you take this one. You've got 12 fortification, 12 health, 12 fire resistance, 12 magical resistance rating. Now you take this one. 15 health, 15 whatever, as it goes up. And then finally, the ultimate fiendish form gives you charisma, hit points, and spell resistance equal to your charisma score. Now, I think that the Acolyte of the Skin numbers, these things are going to change probably because 3 health is too low, 3 fire resistance too low, stuff like that. Some of these numbers are a little low for where they should be. So that'll tweak, but I like the idea of it being cumulative. That's really cool. And the capstone, spell resistance equal to your charisma, is actually extremely good on a character whose saves suck, like Warlocks generally have bad saving throws. So that's awesome. Outside of that, you've got a whole bunch of spell power here, so you can pick up a bunch of spell power. You've got Fiendish or Hellish Rebuke, which is nice, as opposed to the Enlightened Spirit, which gives you the Shield passive. This is a Night Shield passive, which is whatever it is, what it is. You can also get Immunity to Fear at level 1. This might seem really good, but Warlocks get Immunity to Fear all over the place. Traditionally, they get that on this core in Enlightened Spirit gives them Immunity to Fear. Also, this core gives Immunity to Fear. So it's not amazing, but it's cool to have there as an option, especially if you don't want to spend points in the Soul Eater tree. But you probably will, because their blast shape in this tree is the beam. So instead, your Eldritch Blast is a force beam that deals damage to all those of you in a straight line, and while you hold down the mouse button, it's going to continue dealing damage. I don't know how this is going to work, but it looks amazing. So I'm very excited for this. The idea of just beaming people and dealing consistent AoE damage over time is very cool, and I'm excited to see how that works. Additionally, there's going to be 2 abilities here, very reminiscent of the sorry, Eldritch Burst and Spirit Blast that are here in the tree, where you press a button and it deals extra damage. So this one is you Eldritch Blast, but it adds evil. And oh, excuse me, 1 second here. Oh my god. Frog in my throat. Anyway, it adds evil damage here. So you get the add a little bit of evil where it's light out of Enlightened Spirit, and this is an attack that adds even more evil damage. However, this is an I-beam, so it's basically like a cone where your character's going to like, face forward and shoot out a beam out of their eyes, and then boom, it's going to deal damage to every monster in front of you. On top of that, it also fears monsters that are attacked by you, and this is important because in the tree you gain actual bonuses based on fear effects. Like Drink Their Fear, you deal double your pact damage to enemies that are afraid of you. Pact damage, you're able to get up to 26 damage or dice worth of pact, and they're buffing warlocks from d4s to d6s, so doubling that is unbelievable. So you want to be fearing things as much as possible. This fears, and most importantly, if you have this passive, everything fears, because you cause targets to become shaken with no save, which is in fact a fear effect, so it's very cool. They also have some stacking bonuses, Devil's Bulwark, so while you're wearing armor, you gain natural armor. While you're wearing armor, you gain physical resistance rating. And while you're wearing armor, you gain magic resistance rating and magic resistance rating cap. Acolyte skin is going to be quite tanky. So it is not a melee, just to be clear. Enlightened Spirit had melee bonuses. This character is not a melee. If you play as an Acolyte of the Skin, you're pretty much just dropping all weapons. You're not using any weapons. There's no aura here, and you don't use your weapons for attacking. However, it is melee in that everything is melee range. The beam is likely going to be melee. The glares are cones, so they're definitely melee. And the huge ability, Fiendish Symbiosis. Basically, this is probably going to have a longer cooldown. You transform into a full demon. You get fortification. You heal from fire damage. You gain a huge amount of armor. And instead of Eldritch Blasting, you lash out with a claw, and every claw attack that you deal does your Eldritch Blast. So presumably, if you can get some attack speed for a short duration, instead of like blasting slowly to deal damage, you're just going to be clawing the crap out of something and doing crazy single target DPS for a short duration, which is very, very cool. Oh yeah, and then they also get like spell disease or something. So overall, I'm excited for Acolyte of the Skin. It is a warlock that is meant to be in melee, but it is not a melee character. It's not a weapon user. It is just a blaster. And I love the ideas behind it. I like the kind of tanky nature of it, where you get a lot of passive tank. I like that it also doesn't have a lot of decision making in it, such that people who don't want to use their brain a lot and want to think, where it's like, oh, I'm playing Warlock Soul Eater. You got to be, managing your consume and managing your stricken. And, oh, I'm playing Tainted Scholar. Okay, when am I using Stunning Blast? The confusion. Micromanaging some of these things. Instead, Acolyte Skin is, here's a bunch of passives and you beam some stuff. Very cool. Really excited about that. Hopefully it will be cool and fun as well. But again, there's no notes. I have nothing to attach for this. We don't know intention. So some of this for me is just like speculation about how some of these things will work, because I tested all out and nothing functions in here. It's just like placeholders. But that's Acolyte of the Skin. So I'm excited. Hopefully we'll get to see more Acolyte of the Skin in a future preview. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. So I really appreciate everyone tuned in. Hope you're excited about these new archetypes, as I am. And when Lemania 2 comes out in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever it is, I'll give you an update about what's going on. Thank you and goodbye.